Marcus Webb's hands wouldn't stop shaking. $8,000. Cash. Right there in his fingers. His 7-year-old daughter was coughing in a freezing car 20 feet away, sick, starving, wearing shoes held together with duct tape. 11 months homeless. 11 months of hell. This money could end everything, but Marcus pulled out his phone and dialed the number inside the saddlebag. The voice that answered made his blood freeze. "You found Viper's bag. Don't move." 2 hours later, 81 Hells Angels surrounded him in that parking lot, the most dangerous motorcycle club in America. And Marcus was holding everything they wanted. If this story touches your heart, please subscribe to our channel and follow Marcus's journey to the very end. Drop a comment telling us which city you're watching from. We want to see how far this story travels. The temperature dropped to 28 degrees at 6:47 in the morning. Marcus Webb knew the exact time because he had been watching the clock on his phone, waiting for the battery to die. 11% left, then 9, then 7. He had stopped charging it 3 days ago to save the car battery. The car battery was all that stood between his daughter and freezing to death. Lily coughed in the back seat. Marcus turned around immediately. His 7-year-old was curled under 2 thin blankets, her blonde hair matted against her pale face. Her breathing was shallow. Wrong, the kind of breathing that terrified him. "Baby girl, you okay?" She nodded without opening her eyes. "Cold, Daddy." I know, sweetheart, just a little longer." Marcus climbed out of the rusted 2004 Honda Civic and felt the November air hit him like a fist. Barstow, California, the underpass on Route 58. This had been their home for 6 days now, 11 months homeless. 11 months of truck stop bathrooms, shelter floors, and nights spent praying that the police wouldn't knock on their window and tell them to move along. 11 months of watching his daughter fade. He needed to find food. He needed to find money. He needed to find something, anything, to get them through another day. Marcus walked along the edge of the road, scanning the dead grass and gravel for bottles, cans, anything he could recycle for a few cents. His brown hair hung limp and dirty. His clothes smelled like despair. He had lost 40 pounds since Sarah died. Sarah. He couldn't think about her. Not now. Not when thinking about her made him want to lie down and never get up. That's when he saw it. A black leather saddlebag, half hidden in the weeds beside the highway. Expensive looking, heavy. The kind of bag that belonged on a motorcycle, not abandoned on the roadside. Marcus looked around. No one. Just empty highway stretching in both directions. Silent in the early morning cold. He picked up the bag. His hands were shaking, partly from the cold, partly from something else. Hope. Terrible, dangerous hope. He unzipped it and stopped breathing. Cash. Stacks of it. $100 bills bundled with rubber bands. Marcus counted with trembling fingers. $1,000, $2,000, $5,000, $8,000. $8,000. His knees gave out. He sat down hard in the frozen grass, clutching the bag like it might disappear. $8,000 could buy Lily medicine, real medicine, not the expired samples he begged from clinic nurses. $8,000 could rent an apartment, put food in the refrigerator, give his daughter a bed that wasn't a car seat. $8,000 could save them. Marcus looked back at the Civic. Lily was still sleeping. She didn't know that her father was sitting 50 feet away, holding their entire future in his hands. "Take it," a voice whispered. "Take it and run. No one will ever know." He dug deeper into the bag. Beneath the cash was a leather-bound journal, some photographs, and a small velvet box. Marcus opened the box. An engagement ring. Diamond. Old but beautiful. The kind of ring passed down through generations. His throat tightened. Someone had lost this bag. Someone who was probably frantic right now, retracing their route, praying they would find it. Someone for whom this ring meant something more than money. Marcus opened the journal. On the first page, written in careful handwriting, property of Vincent Viper Castellano. If found, call 555-0147, a phone number. Marcus stared at it for a long time. He thought about Lily, about her cough that wouldn't go away, about the holes in her shoes, about the crackers she had eaten for dinner last night because that's all they had left. He thought about his father, Raymond Webb, a construction worker who had raised Marcus alone after his mother left. Raymond had worked 16-hour days, broken his back, destroyed his body to keep Marcus fed and clothed. And every night, no matter how tired he was, Raymond would sit on the edge of Marcus's bed and tell him the same thing. A man's integrity is all he truly owns, son. Everything else can be taken away. Your job, your money, your health. But your integrity? That's yours forever unless you give it away. Marcus had been 12 when his father said that. He was 34 now, and he had never forgotten. He pulled out his phone. 4% battery. His finger hovered over the number. Lily coughed again from the car. Harder this time. Longer. Marcus dialed. The phone rang 3 times before someone answered. The voice was deep, careful, dangerous. Who is this? My name is Marcus Webb. I found a saddlebag on Route 58 near Barstow. There's money inside, and a ring. I think it belongs to someone named Vincent. Silence. Marcus could hear his own heartbeat. How much money? $8,000. More silence. Then, you're calling to give it back? Yes. You find $8,000 cash on the side of the road, and you're calling to give it back? It's not mine. The voice on the other end paused. Marcus heard muffled conversation, someone else talking in the background. Where exactly are you? The truck stop on Main Street, Barstow, the one near the underpass. Don't move. We're coming. The line went dead. Marcus lowered the phone. His hand was shaking so badly he almost dropped it. What had he just done? He walked back to the Civic and climbed inside. The warmth from the heater had faded hours ago, but it was still better than outside. Lily stirred. Daddy? I'm here, baby girl. I'm hungry. The words hit him like a knife. He reached into the center console and pulled out a half-empty box of crackers. 3 left. Here, sweetheart, eat these. Lily took them without complaint. She had stopped complaining about food months ago. She had learned that complaining didn't help, that Daddy was doing everything he could, that sometimes 3 crackers was all there was. Marcus watched her eat and felt something crack inside his chest. He had just given away $8,000. $8,000 that could have fed her for a year. $8,000 that could have saved her. But he couldn't teach her to be a thief. He couldn't look into her eyes and know that her survival came from stolen money. He couldn't become that man, no matter how desperate things got. Daddy, are we going somewhere today? Marcus forced himself to smile. Maybe, baby girl. Maybe today everything changes. 2 hours passed. Marcus sat in the driver's seat, watching the highway. Lily had fallen back asleep, her breathing still shallow, but steadier now. The crackers had helped. He was starting to wonder if he had made a mistake. Maybe no one was coming. Maybe the voice on the phone had been lying. Maybe he should have just taken the money and... The rumble started low, like distant thunder. Marcus sat up straight. The sound grew louder, deeper, the kind of sound that vibrated in your chest before you heard it with your ears. Motorcycles. They appeared on the horizon like a wave. 1, then 5, then 20. Marcus watched them come, his mouth going dry. More and more, 30 motorcycles, 40, 50. They pulled into the truck stop parking lot in formation, a thundering army of chrome and leather. Marcus counted them as they parked. 60, 70, 81. 81 motorcycles. And on the backs of their leather vests, the same patch repeated over and over. Hell's Angels, California. Marcus's blood went cold. He knew who the Hell's Angels were. Everyone knew. The most notorious motorcycle club in America. The news stories, the documentaries, the whispered warnings. These were not men you wanted to cross. And he had called them here. The lead rider killed his engine and climbed off his bike. He was massive, at least 6'4", with a gray beard and arms like tree trunks. Tattoos covered every visible inch of skin. His vest had extra patches that Marcus didn't recognize, but one was clear. President. The man looked around the parking lot. His eyes found the Civic, found Marcus inside, frozen behind the wheel. He started walking toward them. Lily woke up. "Daddy, what's that noise? Why are there so many?" "Shh, baby girl, stay in the car, don't move, okay? No matter what happens, stay in the car." "Daddy, I'm scared." "I know, me too. But it's going to be okay, I promise." Marcus opened the door and stepped out. The biker stopped 10 feet away. Up close, he was even more terrifying. His eyes were like cold metal, the eyes of a man who had seen violence and dealt violence and would not hesitate to do so again. "You Marcus Webb?" "Yes, sir." The man looked him over, took in the dirty clothes, the unwashed hair, the gaunt face. Then his gaze moved to the Civic, to the little girl watching through the window with wide, frightened eyes. "You're the one who called about Viper's bag?" "Yes, sir." "Where is it?" Marcus held up the saddlebag. His hands were shaking so badly that the leather trembled. The biker took it. He opened it slowly, deliberately, and examined the contents. The cash, the journal, the ring. $8,000, he said, his voice flat. "Yes, sir." "And you called us to give it back?" "Yes, sir." The biker looked at Marcus for a long moment. Then he looked at the Civic again, at Lily, at the blankets in the back seat, the empty food wrappers on the floor. "You're homeless." It wasn't a question. "Yes, sir. 11 months now." "The girl?" "My daughter, Lily. She's 7. "And you found $8,000 in cash, and you called us instead of taking it?" Marcus's voice cracked. "It wasn't mine to take." The biker didn't respond. He turned and walked back toward the other bikers, who had gathered in a loose semicircle, watching the exchange. Marcus stood alone in the parking lot, shivering, wondering if he was about to die. The biker spoke to his men in a low voice. Marcus couldn't hear the words, but he could see the reactions. Surprise, disbelief. Some of the men looked at Marcus with expressions he couldn't read. Then the biker walked back. "What's your story?" "Excuse me?" "Your story. How did you end up here, homeless with a kid, in a car that looks like it's about to fall apart?" Marcus hesitated. He didn't want to tell this story. He had told it to social workers and shelter volunteers and church charity workers so many times that the words had lost their meaning. But something in the biker's eyes made him speak. "I was a carpenter, had my own business in Phoenix, custom furniture, cabinets, that kind of thing. I was good. Then my wife got sick." "Sick how?" "Breast cancer, stage 4 by the time they caught it." The biker's expression didn't change, but something shifted in his eyes. "Insurance?" "Not enough. I sold the business to pay the bills, sold the house, sold everything." Marcus's voice was steady, but just barely. "She died anyway, 14 months ago. By then I was broke, couldn't pay rent, couldn't find work because I had to take care of Lily. Shelters were full, so we ended up in the car." "No family?" "My parents are dead. Her parents blame me for her death. They tried to take Lily away. I fought them in court and won, but it cost me everything I had left. They don't speak to us anymore." The biker was quiet for a long moment. Then he turned and bellowed, "Viper, get over here!" A younger man separated from the group, early 30s, brown hair, muscular build. He had the same intense eyes as the older man, but softer somehow. "Yeah, Dad?" "Dad." Marcus filed that information away. The older man handed the saddlebag to the younger one. "This man found your grandmother's ring." Viper's entire demeanor changed. He looked at the bag, then at Marcus, with sudden, sharp attention. You found this? Yes. On the highway? About half a mile east of here. It must have fallen off your bike. Viper opened the velvet box. He stared at the ring for a long moment, and Marcus saw something he didn't expect. Tears forming in the younger man's eyes. This was my grandmother's, Viper said quietly. She wore it for 60 years. She died 2 weeks ago. We buried her yesterday. He looked up at Marcus. I was bringing this ring home to give to my fiancée. When I got to the chapter house and realized it was gone, I thought I'd lost her forever. Marcus didn't know what to say. Viper stepped closer. You could have sold this ring for $2,000. Easy. You could have fed your kid for months. It wasn't mine. The money then. $8,000 cash. You could have disappeared. Started over. It wasn't mine, Marcus repeated. Viper stared at him. The silence stretched. Then he reached into his pocket, pulled out his wallet, and counted out $500 bills. No, Marcus said immediately. I didn't do this for a reward. I know. That's why I'm giving it to you. Viper pressed the money into Marcus's hand. You gave me back something priceless. Let me give you something in return. Marcus looked at the money. $500. More than he had held in over a year. I can't. You can, the older man interrupted. And you will. Marcus looked up. The older biker was watching him with an expression that was hard to read. Respect, maybe, or surprise, or something deeper. I'm Jack Castellano, the man said. Most of my brothers call me Iron Jack. That's my son Vincent. He paused. What you did today, returning that bag when you had every reason not to, that tells me something about who you are. It's just the right thing to do. Iron Jack's eyes narrowed. When's the last time your daughter had a real meal? Marcus couldn't answer. His throat had closed up. Iron Jack turned to his men. Someone get food from the diner. Breakfast. Enough for the kid and her dad. Now. 3 bikers immediately headed toward the truck stop restaurant. Come on, Iron Jack said to Marcus. Let's get you and your girl inside where it's warm. Sir, you don't have to. I know I don't have to. I want to. Iron Jack's voice softened slightly. My grandmother used to say that you can tell everything you need to know about a man by how he acts when no one's watching. No one was watching when you found that bag. You could have taken the money and no one would ever have known. He put a hand on Marcus's shoulder. The grip was firm, but not threatening. But you called us instead, because it was the right thing to do. Iron Jack nodded slowly. There aren't many men left in this world who would do that. I want to know more about you, Marcus Webb. Marcus looked back at the Civic. Lily was still watching through the window, her eyes wide but less frightened now. For the first time in 11 months, Marcus allowed himself to feel something he had almost forgotten existed. Hope. Inside the truck stop diner, Lily ate pancakes like she had never seen food before. Marcus tried to eat slowly, to preserve some dignity, but his body had other ideas. The scrambled eggs, the bacon, the toast with butter. Real food, hot food. Food that filled the hollow ache in his stomach. The Hells Angels had taken over the entire restaurant. Other customers had quickly paid their bills and left. 81 bikers filled every booth and stool, but the atmosphere wasn't what Marcus had expected. There was no menace, no threat. Just men eating breakfast, talking, laughing. Iron Jack sat across from Marcus, watching him eat. Viper sat next to his father, also watching. Tell me about the carpentry, Iron Jack said. Marcus set down his fork. What do you want to know? Everything. What kind of work? How good were you? Why did you get into it? Marcus glanced at Lily, who was too focused on her pancakes to pay attention to the adult conversation. My father taught me, he said. He was a construction worker, but on weekends he built furniture. Said it was the only time he felt like an artist instead of a laborer. He showed me everything. How to choose wood, how to read the grain, how to make joints that would last 100 years. And you started your own business? After he died, I was 20 when he passed. Heart attack on a job site. I took everything he taught me and turned it into a company. Webb Custom Woodwork. I had 5 employees at our peak. We built furniture for rich people in Scottsdale. Custom cabinets, hand-carved mantles, that kind of thing. You were successful. I was. Marcus's voice caught. Then Sarah got sick and I realized that none of it mattered. The business, the money, the reputation, none of it could save her. Iron Jack nodded slowly. How long were you married? 9 years. We met when I was 23. She was a nurse. We got married 2 years later. Had Lily 2 years after that. Marcus paused. We were happy, really happy. I thought it would last forever. Lily looked up from her pancakes. Daddy, can I have more orange juice? Of course, baby girl. Viper signaled a waitress before Marcus could move. She's beautiful, Viper said, nodding toward Lily. She looks like you. She looks like her mother. How long has she been sick? Marcus tensed. What do you mean? The coughing, the pale skin. I'm not blind. Marcus was quiet for a moment. Asthma. It's getting worse because of the cold, the dust from living in the car. She needs a nebulizer, real medication, a clean place to sleep. I can't afford any of it. Iron Jack's jaw tightened. When's the last time she saw a doctor? 4 months ago. Free clinic in Fresno. They gave us some expired samples, told us she needed specialist care. Marcus laughed bitterly. Specialist care costs money. Money requires insurance. Insurance requires a job. Jobs require childcare. Childcare requires money. It's a loop that never ends. Viper and Iron Jack exchanged a look that Marcus couldn't interpret. What about shelters? Iron Jack asked. Full. Or they separate fathers from daughters. Or they have rules about how long you can stay. We've tried a dozen. Marcus shook his head. The system isn't built for people like us. It's built to make you feel like you've been helped, while making sure you never actually escape. Iron Jack leaned back in his seat. His eyes were thoughtful. You said you were a carpenter, custom work. Are you still good? I'm out of practice, but yes. Woodworking is like riding a bike. You never really forget. Could you build a bar? Tables and chairs? A stage? Marcus blinked. What? Our clubhouse in Bakersfield caught fire 6 weeks ago. Arson. The main hall is gutted. We need someone to rebuild the interior. Marcus's heart started pounding. That's a big job. It is. 6 months of work, minimum, full time. I could do that. Iron Jack nodded. There's an apartment above our bike shop. 2 bedrooms, kitchen, bathroom. Nothing fancy, but it's got heat and running water. There's a school 3 blocks away. Marcus couldn't speak. His throat had completely closed. 0 rent until the job is done, Iron Jack continued. After that, we'll work something out. Fair wage for the carpentry work. Paid weekly. Lily looked up again. Daddy, why are you crying? Marcus wiped his eyes quickly. I'm not crying, baby girl. I'm just really happy. About what? About everything. Iron Jack stood up. Here's what's going to happen. You're going to follow us to Bakersfield. You're going to look at the job, see the apartment. If you want it, it's yours. Jack, I don't know how to. Don't thank me. You earned this the moment you picked up that phone instead of picking up that money. Iron Jack's voice was firm. A man who keeps his integrity when he has nothing left is a man I can trust. We'll see you in Bakersfield, Marcus. He turned to his brothers. Mount up. We're riding. The diner erupted in activity. Bikers threw cash on tables, headed for the door. Marcus grabbed Lily and rushed outside, still not quite believing what was happening. But when he reached the Civic, 4 bikers were standing around it, shaking their heads. This thing isn't making it to Bakersfield, one of them said. Transmission's shot. Tires are bald. I'm surprised it made it this far. Marcus's heart sank. It's all we have. Iron Jack appeared beside him. Leave it, we'll tow it later. But how do we? You're riding with us. Marcus stared at him. On a motorcycle? With Lily? A woman stepped forward. Marcus hadn't noticed her before, but she was clearly a biker too. Dark hair, kind eyes, leather vest with patches. I'm Maria, Viper's fiancée. She smiled at Lily. I'll take your daughter on my bike. She'll be safe with me. I don't. Daddy, please. Lily was looking at the motorcycles with wide, excited eyes. Can I ride one? Please? Marcus looked at the 81 bikers surrounding him. Men he had been taught to fear. Men who society said were criminals and thugs. Men who, in the last hour, had shown him more kindness than anyone had in 11 months. Okay, he heard himself say. Okay. Maria helped Lily onto her bike, settling the little girl in front of her with a helmet that was slightly too big. Lily was grinning like it was Christmas morning. Marcus climbed onto the back of Iron Jack's Harley. He had never been on a motorcycle in his life. Hold on tight, Iron Jack said. And Marcus? Yeah? Stop calling me sir. Call me Jack. The engine roared to life. Lily squealed with delight, and 81 Hells Angels, with a homeless father and his daughter among them, rolled out of Barstow. Marcus looked back at the truck stop growing smaller in the distance, at the Civic they were leaving behind, at the underpass where they had spent 6 nights wondering if they would survive. His father's voice echoed in his memory. A man's integrity is all he truly owns. For the first time in 11 months, Marcus believed that might actually be true. The wind cut through Marcus's thin jacket like a blade, but he didn't care. He was holding on to Iron Jack's leather vest, watching the California desert blur past at 70 miles per hour, and for the first time in 11 months, he felt alive. Lily's laughter carried on the wind from Maria's bike ahead. His daughter was giggling, actually giggling, her small arms wrapped around Maria's waist. Marcus couldn't remember the last time he had heard that sound. The convoy of 81 motorcycles stretched across the highway like a rolling thunder. Cars pulled over to let them pass. Truckers honked their horns in respect. Marcus had spent his whole life being invisible, a nobody that society stepped over on sidewalks. Now he was riding with the most notorious motorcycle club in America, and the world was getting out of their way. You doing okay back there? Iron Jack shouted over the engine. Yeah, this is incredible. First time on a bike? First time. Iron Jack laughed. It was a deep, genuine sound that surprised Marcus. You're a natural. Most first-timers are scared stiff. I'm too tired to be scared anymore. Iron Jack didn't respond to that, but Marcus felt the older man's posture shift slightly. Understanding, maybe, or respect. They rode for 2 hours before stopping at a gas station outside Bakersfield. Marcus's legs were shaking when he climbed off the bike, his body stiff from the unfamiliar position, but he barely noticed. Lily ran toward him the moment Maria helped her down. Daddy, Daddy, did you see me? I was riding a motorcycle, a real motorcycle. Marcus knelt and hugged her tight. I saw, baby girl. You were so brave. Maria let me hold the handlebars for a second, just for a second when we were going slow. She said I'm a natural. Marcus looked up at Maria, who was smiling. Thank you for taking care of her. She's a sweetheart, reminds me of my niece. Maria knelt down to Lily's level. Hey, princess, are you hungry? There's a store inside with candy. Lily's eyes went wide. She looked at Marcus for permission. Go ahead, but just one piece, okay? Maria took Lily's hand and led her toward the convenience store. Marcus watched them go, his chest tight with an emotion he couldn't name. Viper appeared beside him. She's good with kids, Maria, always has been. She's kind, you're lucky. I know. Viper handed Marcus a bottle of water. Drink. You look like you're about to pass out. Marcus took the water and drained half of it in one gulp. He hadn't realized how thirsty he was. Can I ask you something? Viper said. Sure. That morning, when you found the bag, what went through your head? Marcus was quiet for a moment. Honestly, I thought about taking it. For about 30 seconds, I thought about grabbing the money and disappearing. What stopped you? My daughter's face. Marcus looked toward the convenience store. I imagined having to explain to her, someday, how we got back on our feet. And I couldn't imagine telling her that her daddy stole from someone. Viper nodded slowly. My grandmother used to say that character is what you do when nobody's watching. My father said the same thing. Different words, same meaning. What happened to him? Heart attack. He was working a construction site, 60 feet up on scaffolding. He felt the chest pain, but he didn't want to stop working because he needed the money. By the time he climbed down, it was too late. I'm sorry. Don't be. He died doing what he loved, providing for his family. He would have hated dying in a hospital bed. Marcus paused. He was a good man, honest, hard-working. He never had much, but he had his integrity. And he passed that on to you. Tried to. Viper was quiet for a moment. Then he said, my grandmother was the same way. Toughest woman I ever knew. Raised 6 kids on her own after my grandfather died. Never took charity, never complained. Just worked and sacrificed until all her kids were grown. That's the ring, isn't it? The one I found. Yeah, my grandfather gave it to her on their wedding day. She wore it for 60 years. When she died, she wanted me to have it. Viper's voice caught. I was going to give it to Maria. Propose to her next month. When I realized it was gone, I thought I'd lost my grandmother all over again. Marcus didn't know what to say. He reached out and put a hand on Viper's shoulder. I'm glad I could give it back to you. Viper looked at him with eyes that were bright with unshed tears. You gave me back more than a ring, Marcus. You gave me back my grandmother's memory. They stood in silence for a moment, 2 strangers who had become something else in the span of a few hours. Hey, Iron Jack's voice cut through the moment. We're burning daylight, let's move. Marcus climbed back onto Iron Jack's bike. Lily returned from the store with chocolate on her face and a smile that could light up the darkest night. Maria helped her onto the bike, and the convoy rolled out once more. 30 minutes later, they arrived at the Hells Angels clubhouse in Bakersfield. Marcus felt his stomach drop the moment he saw it. The front half of the building looked normal, a large structure with high ceilings and a parking lot that could hold 100 bikes. But the back half was a charred skeleton, blackened beams and collapsed walls visible through gaps in the structure. Arson, Iron Jack said as they dismounted. Rival club thought they could send a message. Did they catch who did it? Iron Jack's expression went cold. We handled it. Marcus decided not to ask any more questions. The bikers dispersed to their various tasks, but Iron Jack led Marcus and Lily around the building to a smaller structure behind it. A 2-story brick building with a sign that read, Castellano Auto Repair. The shop is downstairs, Iron Jack explained. We fix bikes, restore classics, that kind of thing. The apartment is upstairs. He led them up an external staircase to a metal door. The hinges creaked when he pushed it open. Marcus stepped inside and stopped breathing. It was small. A living room, a kitchen, 2 bedrooms, 1 bathroom. The furniture was old and mismatched. The paint on the walls was peeling in places. It was the most beautiful thing Marcus had ever seen. Daddy, look! Lily ran past him into one of the bedrooms. There's a bed, a real bed, with blankets. Marcus couldn't move. His feet were rooted to the floor. It's not much, Iron Jack said, but it's got heat, running water, electricity. The fridge is stocked. Maria went shopping yesterday when I told her you were coming. You told her yesterday? I called ahead from the truck stop. After our conversation, Marcus finally found his voice. Why? Why are you doing all this for us? Iron Jack walked to the window and looked out at the destroyed clubhouse. 40 years ago, I was exactly where you are now. Homeless, desperate, trying to keep my kid alive on nothing. Marcus stared at him. Viper's mother died when he was 3. Cancer, like your wife. I spent everything trying to save her. When she passed, I had nothing. No money, No job, no family willing to help. Iron Jack's voice was flat, but his hands were clenched at his sides. I lived in my car for 8 months with a toddler, stole food to feed him, did things I'm not proud of. What changed? A stranger, a man I'd never met before. He saw me digging through a dumpster behind a restaurant, looking for scraps for my kid. Instead of calling the cops, he came outside and gave me a job. Dishwasher, minimum wage, but it was enough. Iron Jack turned to face Marcus. That man didn't have to help me. He had every reason to walk away, but he didn't. He gave me a chance when no one else would. I swore that if I ever got the chance to do the same for someone else, I would. And that's me. That's you. Marcus felt tears running down his face. He didn't bother wiping them away. I don't know how to repay this. You already have. Iron Jack walked toward the door. Get some rest. Tomorrow I'll show you the clubhouse, explain what needs to be done. There's food in the fridge, towels in the bathroom. If you need anything, there's always someone at the shop downstairs. He paused at the door. And Marcus, welcome to the family. The door closed behind him. Marcus stood alone in the middle of the apartment, listening to his daughter bounce on her new bed in the next room, and finally let himself break down. That night, Marcus gave Lily her first real bath in 11 months. She splashed in the warm water, playing with the soap bubbles, giggling at her own reflection in the bathroom mirror. Marcus sat on the floor beside the tub, watching her, memorizing every moment. Daddy, the water is so warm. I know, baby girl. And there's so much of it. It's not like the truck stop bathrooms. No, it's not. Lily looked up at him with those big eyes that reminded him so much of Sarah. Are we going to live here now? For a while. Would you like that? Yes, she nodded emphatically. I like it here. The people are nice. They are. Maria said she'd teach me to braid hair, and one of the men, the big one with the beard, he said he'd show me his motorcycle collection tomorrow. Is that okay, Daddy? We'll see. Marcus lifted her out of the tub and wrapped her in a towel. She was so thin, he could count her ribs. The asthma had stolen her appetite, and the stress of homelessness had stolen the rest. But she was smiling. She was warm. She was safe. For now, that was enough. After Lily fell asleep, Marcus sat at the kitchen table and stared at the wall. His mind was racing, cycling through everything that had happened in the last 12 hours. The saddlebag, the phone call, the bikers, the ride, the apartment. It felt like a dream, like he would wake up any moment and find himself back in the Civic, shivering under the overpass. A knock at the door made him jump. He opened it to find Viper standing there with a pizza box. Figured you might be hungry, and I wanted to talk. Marcus stepped aside to let him in. They sat at the kitchen table, eating pizza in silence for a few minutes. Marcus hadn't had pizza in over a year. The taste was almost overwhelming. How's Lily? Viper finally asked. Asleep. First real bed she's had in almost a year. That must have been hard, living in a car with a kid. You have no idea. Marcus set down his slice. The worst part wasn't the cold or the hunger. It was watching her try to be brave for me. She's 7 years old, and she was trying to protect her father. Viper nodded slowly. Kids are tougher than we give them credit for. She shouldn't have to be tough. She should be playing with dolls and worrying about homework, not wondering where her next meal is coming from. That's going to change now. Is it? Marcus looked at Viper. I want to believe that. I really do. But I've learned not to trust good things. They always get taken away. Viper leaned forward. Let me tell you something about the Hells Angels that most people don't understand. We're not what the news says we are. Sure, some of our members have done bad things. Some of us have records. But at our core, we're a family. We protect each other. We take care of each other. And when we decide someone is one of us, that's for life. I'm not a biker. You don't have to be. My father decided you're worth protecting. That means every man in this chapter will have your back. Every man in every chapter we're allied with. Do you understand what that means? Marcus shook his head. It means you're not alone anymore. It means if you need help, you've got 80 brothers who will drop everything to give it. It means your daughter has 80 uncles who will make sure no one ever hurts her. Marcus felt something crack inside his chest. Why me? Because you proved yourself. That's all we ask. Loyalty, honesty, integrity. You showed all three in a single phone call. Viper stood up. Get some sleep. Tomorrow's going to be a big day. He was at the door when Marcus spoke again. Viper? Yeah? Thank you. Viper smiled. Call me Vincent. Only strangers call me Viper. The door closed, and Marcus was alone again. But for the first time in 11 months, alone didn't feel so lonely. The next morning, Iron Jack gave Marcus a tour of the damaged clubhouse. Walking through the wreckage was like walking through a war zone. The fire had gutted the main hall, destroying the bar, the stage, the tables and chairs. Support beams were charred but still standing. The smell of smoke lingered in the air, weeks after the fire had been extinguished. Insurance is fighting us, Iron Jack explained. They say we violated some clause in the policy. Our lawyers are handling it, but it could take years. And you need the clubhouse now. We need a home, a place for our brothers to gather, to celebrate, to mourn. Right now we're meeting in parking lots and garages. It's not the same. Marcus walked through the debris, his carpenter's eye assessing the damage. He knelt beside a blackened support beam, testing its integrity. The structural elements are sound, he said. The fire was hot, but it didn't burn long enough to compromise the bones of the building. So it can be fixed? It can be rebuilt. Better than before if you want. Marcus stood up. I'll need materials. Good wood, not the cheap stuff. Hardware, tools, finishes. It won't be fast and it won't be cheap. Money isn't the problem. Time is. We need this done as soon as possible. I can work 12-hour days. Longer if I can get someone to watch Lily after school. Maria already volunteered. Marcus blinked. What? She talked to my dad last night, said she'd pick up Lily from school every day, help with homework, keep her company until you're done working. Iron Jack shrugged. She's always wanted kids. This gives her practice. I don't know what to say. Say you'll get started today. Marcus looked around the ruined hall. In his mind, he was already seeing it rebuilt. A new bar, crafted from reclaimed oak. Tables with carved details. A stage with proper acoustics. This could be his masterpiece. I'll need to measure everything first, make a materials list. But yeah, I can start today. Iron Jack nodded. Whatever you need, you ask for it. If we don't have it, we'll get it. He started to walk away, then stopped. One more thing, the brothers are going to come and go while you're working. Some of them might seem intimidating, but they're harmless, mostly. Mostly? Don't touch their bikes. Don't disrespect their women. Don't ask about club business. Follow those rules and you'll be fine. Got it. Iron Jack left, and Marcus got to work. He spent the entire first day measuring, calculating, sketching. His notebook filled with plans and diagrams. The bar would be the centerpiece, a massive L-shaped structure with seating for 20. The stage would be elevated, with built-in speakers and lighting rigging. Tables and chairs throughout, each one handcrafted. It was ambitious, maybe too ambitious, but Marcus hadn't felt this excited about anything since Sarah died. Lily started school the following Monday. Marcus walked her to the building, a 3-story brick structure that looked like it had been built in the 1960s. She clutched his hand tightly, nervous in a way she rarely showed. What if they don't like me? Who wouldn't like you? You're amazing. What if they ask where I live? What if they find out we were homeless? Marcus knelt down to her level. Listen to me. What happened to us doesn't define who we are. We went through a hard time, but we survived. That makes us strong, not weak. But what if they make fun of me? Then you hold your head high and ignore them. And you tell me about it after school, and we'll figure it out together, okay? Lily nodded, but her eyes were still uncertain. Daddy? Yeah, baby girl? I'm glad we found those bikers. Marcus pulled her into a hug. Me too, sweetheart. Me too. He watched her walk into the school, her small backpack bouncing on her shoulders. She looked back once, waved, and disappeared inside. Marcus stood on the sidewalk for a long time, watching the door, praying that this new beginning would be everything they needed it to be. The first week passed in a blur of sawdust and sweat. Marcus worked from dawn to dusk, measuring, cutting, sanding. The materials arrived on the third day, exactly what he had requested. Quality oak, maple, walnut. Hardware from a supplier in Los Angeles. Tools that made his old equipment look like toys. The bikers watched him work with a mixture of curiosity and respect. Some of them stopped to ask questions. Others just nodded and moved on. But all of them treated him with a deference that surprised him. On the fifth day, a massive biker named Bones approached him. You're the guy who found Viper's bag. That's me. Bones studied him for a long moment. He was at least 6'5", with a shaved head and tattoos covering every visible inch of skin. His eyes were hard, the eyes of a man who had seen violence and wouldn't hesitate to commit it. My daughter was sick when she was 7, Bones said. Leukemia. We spent 2 years in and out of hospitals. I know what it's like to watch your kids suffer and feel helpless. Marcus didn't know what to say. She's 16 now, healthy, happy, driving me crazy with boys and makeup and all that teenage stuff. Bones almost smiled. Point is, things get better. Sometimes it takes a miracle, but they get better. Thank you. Don't thank me. Just keep doing what you're doing. The brothers respect a man who works hard. Bones walked away, and Marcus returned to his work with renewed determination. At the end of the second week, Vincent found Marcus finishing the frame for the new bar. This is incredible, Vincent said, running his hand along the smooth wood. I've never seen craftsmanship like this. It's just the frame. Wait until you see it finished. My father was right about you. Vincent leaned against a workbench. Can I ask you something personal? Sure. Your wife, what was she like? Marcus set down his sandpaper. Sarah? She was everything. Kind, smart, funny. She had this laugh that could fill a whole room. When she walked in somewhere, everyone noticed. How did you meet? I was building a bookshelf for a doctor's office. She was a nurse there. She asked me about my work, and I couldn't stop talking. 3 hours later, I realized I hadn't done any actual work. She gave me her phone number and told me I owed her dinner for wasting her time. Vincent laughed. Sounds like a firecracker. She was. God, she was. Marcus's voice caught. When she got sick, I thought I could fix it. I thought if I worked hard enough, earned enough money, found the right doctors, I could save her. But cancer doesn't care about hard work. It just takes. How long was she sick? 18 months from diagnosis to... Marcus couldn't finish the sentence. Lily was 5 when she started treatment, 6.5 when she died. Lily remembers her? Some things. Sarah's laugh, her perfume, the songs she used to sing at bedtime. Marcus picked up the sandpaper again, needing something to do with his hands. I try to keep her memory alive, show Lily pictures, tell her stories, but it gets harder every year. She's lucky to have you. I'm lucky to have her. She's the only reason I kept going after Sarah died. If it wasn't for Lily, I would have given up a long time ago. Vincent was quiet for a moment. Then he reached into his jacket and pulled out an envelope. What's this? Open it. Marcus did. Inside was a stack of $100 bills. He counted quickly. $5,000. Vincent, I can't. You can and you will. Consider it an advance on the job, or a thank you for the ring, or just a gift from a friend. I don't care what you call it. This is too much. It's not nearly enough. Vincent pushed the envelope back toward Marcus. Buy your daughter some new clothes. Get her that medication she needs. Put some food in your fridge that isn't ramen and peanut butter. Marcus stared at the money. $5,000. More than he had earned in the entire last year. Why do you keep helping me? Because 40 years ago, someone helped my father when he had nothing. And he spent his whole life paying that forward. Now it's my turn. Vincent headed for the door. And Marcus, you're not a charity case. You're family. The door closed behind him. Marcus sat alone in the ruined clubhouse, holding $5,000 in his shaking hands, and cried for the second time that week. 2 weeks later, everything changed again. Marcus was working late, installing the cabinet doors behind the bar, when Iron Jack walked in with an older man Marcus didn't recognize. Marcus, I want you to meet someone. This is my brother Thomas. The older man stepped forward. He looked like Iron Jack, the same build, the same hard eyes, but with less gray in his beard and more warmth in his expression. So you're the carpenter I've heard so much about, Thomas said. I suppose so. I'm a contractor in Phoenix, have been for 30 years. Thomas walked around the bar, examining Marcus's work. My brother sent me pictures of what you're building here. I had to see it for myself. Marcus felt a flutter of anxiety. And it's the best woodwork I've seen in 20 years, maybe ever. Thomas turned to face him. I made some calls about you. Talked to your old clients in Scottsdale. Marcus's stomach dropped. What did they say? They said you were the finest carpenter they'd ever hired. Said you were honest, reliable, dedicated. Said you never cut corners, never compromised on quality, never missed a deadline. Thomas paused. They also told me what happened. Your wife, the medical bills, losing everything. They said it broke their hearts. Marcus couldn't speak. I've got a proposition for you. Thomas pulled a folder from his jacket. There's a major construction project starting in Phoenix next year. Housing development, 200 units, high-end custom work, exactly what you specialize in. I need a foreman who knows craftsmanship and isn't afraid of hard work. A foreman? Good salary, full benefits, relocation assistance, 2-year contract minimum with options to extend. Thomas handed him the folder. The job is yours if you want it. Marcus opened the folder. Inside were documents, contracts, numbers that made his head spin. A salary higher than he had ever earned. Health insurance, retirement benefits. I don't understand, he heard himself say. What's to understand? You finish the work here, prove what you can do, and then you come to Phoenix and build something bigger. Thomas put a hand on Marcus's shoulder. My brother says you're a man of integrity. That's rare these days. I want people like you on my team. Marcus looked at Iron Jack, who nodded. Why? Marcus asked. Why are you all doing this for me? Iron Jack stepped forward. Because 40 years ago, I was you. And someone gave me a chance I didn't deserve. This is how I pay it back. He gripped Marcus's arm. You finish this clubhouse, you've got a career waiting for you. A real future for you and Lily. All you have to do is keep being the man you already are. Marcus looked down at the folder in his hands, at the contracts that represented everything he had lost and everything he had dreamed of getting back. I don't know what to say. Say yes, Thomas said. That's all. Just say yes. Marcus thought about Lily, about her new school, her new friends, her new life, about giving her a real home, real stability, real hope for the future. Yes, he said. Yes. Iron Jack smiled. It was the first real smile Marcus had seen from him. Good. Now get back to work. We've got a clubhouse to rebuild. That night, Marcus sat on the apartment steps, watching the stars. Lily was asleep inside, safe and warm and dreaming of whatever 7-year-olds dream about. The sounds of the clubhouse drifted across the lot, bikers laughing and talking and living their lives. Marcus thought about everything that had happened since that morning in Barstow. The saddlebag, the phone call, The bikers, the apartment, the job. It felt like a lifetime, but it had only been a few weeks. His phone buzzed. A text from Maria. Lily was amazing today. She helped me make cookies. Save some for you. He smiled and texted back, "Thank you for everything." Her response came immediately. That's what family does. Family. Marcus had forgotten what that word meant. Sarah's parents had abandoned them. His own parents were dead. For 11 months, family had been just him and Lily, alone against the world. But now there were 80 brothers who called him family. A father figure who had given him a second chance. A job waiting for him in Phoenix. All because he had made one phone call instead of taking the money. His father's voice echoed in his memory. A man's integrity is all he truly owns. For the first time in his life, Marcus truly understood what that meant. 3 months of sawdust, sweat, and sleepless nights. Marcus stood in the center of the rebuilt clubhouse, running his calloused hands along the bar he had crafted from reclaimed oak. Every joint was perfect. Every surface was smooth. Every detail was exactly as he had imagined it during those long nights in the rusted Civic, when imagining anything beautiful seemed like a cruel joke. It's done, he whispered to himself. The main hall had been transformed. The bar stretched 20 feet along the back wall, with hand-carved details depicting eagles, motorcycles, and the Hells Angels' death head. The stage was elevated and reinforced, ready for bands and celebrations. Tables and chairs filled the floor, each one unique, each one bearing Marcus's signature craftsmanship. This was his masterpiece, the proof that he was still capable of creating something beautiful, even after everything had been taken from him. "Daddy!" Lily burst through the door, her backpack bouncing on her shoulders. She had grown in the last 3 months, filled out. The hollowness was gone from her cheeks, replaced by the healthy glow of a child who ate 3 meals a day and slept in a real bed. "Look what I made!" She held up a piece of paper. "Mrs. Patterson said it was the best drawing in the whole class." Marcus knelt down and took the drawing. It showed a house, a car, and stick figures holding hands. One tall figure with brown hair, one small figure with yellow hair, and around them dozens of figures in black, standing in a protective circle. "Who are all these people?" Marcus asked, though he already knew. "Our family, the bikers." Lily pointed at each figure. "That's Iron Jack. That's Vincent. That's Maria. That's Bones. That's everyone." Marcus felt his throat tighten. "This is beautiful, baby girl." Mrs. Patterson asked who they were. "I told her they're my uncles." Lily grinned. She looked confused, but I told her that family doesn't have to be blood. You taught me that. Marcus pulled her into a hug so tight she squeaked, "I love you, Lily." "I love you too, Daddy." The door opened again, and Iron Jack walked in. He stopped when he saw the completed bar, his expression unreadable. "Well," he said slowly, "look at this." He walked through the hall, examining everything, running his hands along the tables, testing the chairs. Standing on the stage and looking out over the room, Marcus held his breath. Iron Jack turned to face him. "In 40 years with this club, I've never seen anything like this." "Is that good or bad?" "It's exceptional." Iron Jack walked toward him. "You didn't just rebuild what we lost. You created something better, something that will last generations." Marcus didn't know what to say. 3 months of work, validated in a single sentence. "The brothers are going to lose their minds when they see this," Iron Jack continued. "We're having the dedication ceremony this Saturday. Every chapter in California is coming, maybe 200 bikes." 200? Word got around about what you did, not just the construction, the saddlebag, how you called us instead of taking the money. Iron Jack put a hand on Marcus's shoulder. "You're famous, Marcus. In our world, that kind of integrity makes you a legend." Marcus shook his head. "I'm not a legend. I'm just a guy who did the right thing." "That's exactly what makes you a legend. Most people don't do the right thing. Most people take the easy path." Iron Jack's grip tightened. You took the hard path when you had every reason not to. That's why we're here. Lily tugged on Iron Jack's vest. Mr. Jack, do you want to see my drawing? Iron Jack knelt down, his intimidating demeanor softening instantly. Show me, princess. He studied the drawing with the same intensity he had used to examine the clubhouse. This is remarkable. Who taught you to draw like this? Nobody. I just practice a lot. Natural talent. Iron Jack looked up at Marcus. She gets it from you. Her mother was the artistic one. Then she gets it from both of you. Iron Jack stood up. Marcus, can I talk to you privately? Maria, could you take Lily for some ice cream? Maria appeared in the doorway, as if she had been waiting for the cue. Come on, princess. I heard they have chocolate chip at the shop down the street. Lily hesitated, looking at Marcus for permission. Go ahead, baby girl. I'll be right here when you get back. She took Maria's hand and skipped out the door, already chattering about her day at school. Iron Jack waited until they were gone, then turned to Marcus with an expression that made his blood run cold. We have a problem. Marcus felt his stomach drop. What kind of problem? Sit down. They sat at one of the new tables. Iron Jack pulled out his phone and showed Marcus a photograph. Two people standing outside a courthouse. A man and a woman in their 60s, well-dressed, with expressions of cold determination. Do you recognize them? Marcus's world tilted. That's Richard and Helen, Sarah's parents. They filed a custody petition yesterday. They're claiming you're an unfit father, homeless, unstable, associating with known criminals. Iron Jack's voice was flat, controlled. They want to take Lily. Marcus couldn't breathe. The room was spinning around him. How? How did they find us? Your daughter's school registration. They've been searching for you ever since you won the first custody case. When you enrolled Lily in school here, it triggered a flag in the system. No, 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 no. Marcus stood up, his hands shaking. I can't lose her. I can't. She's all I have. You're not going to lose her. You don't understand. They have money. They have lawyers. They have connections. The last time we went to court, it cost me everything I had, and I barely won. Marcus. Iron Jack's voice cut through the panic. Look at me. Marcus forced himself to meet the older man's eyes. You are not alone anymore, do you understand? You have a home. You have a job. You have a family with the resources to fight this. They're not going to take your daughter. How can you be sure? Because I've already called our lawyers, 3 of them, the best in California. Iron Jack stood up. The hearing is in 2 weeks. That gives us time to prepare. We're going to show that judge exactly who you are and exactly who they are. Marcus sank back into the chair, his head in his hands. This can't be happening. Not now. Not when everything was finally getting better. Iron Jack sat down across from him. Tell me about them. Sarah's parents. What are we dealing with? Marcus took a shaky breath. Richard is a retired judge. Helen was a city councilwoman. They never approved of Sarah marrying me. I was just a carpenter, not good enough for their daughter. What happened when Sarah got sick? They blamed me, said I should have gotten better insurance, should have caught it earlier, should have done more. Marcus's voice cracked. They said I killed her, said I was too poor and too stupid to save her. In the first custody battle, they claimed I was unstable, grieving too hard, unable to provide for Lily. The judge saw through it, but it was close. So close. Marcus looked up. That's when they stopped talking to us. I thought they had given up. They were waiting, looking for ammunition. Iron Jack's expression hardened. And now they think they've found it. The Hells Angels. Yes, they're going to paint us as criminals, drug dealers, murderers. They're going to say you put Lily in danger by living with us. Marcus felt rage building in his chest. That's not fair. You've done nothing but help us. You saved our lives. Fair doesn't matter in court. Perception matters. And right now, the perception of the Hells Angels is not favorable. Marcus stood up again, pacing. What do I do? What can I do? You keep doing exactly what you've been doing, being a good father, working hard, building a life for your daughter. Iron Jack stood up and blocked Marcus's path. And you let us handle the rest. I can't let you fight my battles. This isn't just your battle, it's ours. Iron Jack's voice was fierce. Your family, Marcus, and family protects its own. We're going to fight this together, and we're going to win. Marcus wanted to believe him, desperately wanted to believe him, but he had been burned too many times. Hope was a dangerous thing. What if we lose? Iron Jack's expression didn't waver. We won't. That night, Marcus couldn't sleep. He lay in bed, staring at the ceiling, listening to Lily breathe in the next room. His mind raced through every possible scenario. Losing custody, watching Lily be taken away, never seeing her again. He got up and walked to her door. She was sleeping peacefully, her stuffed bear clutched to her chest. The bear was new, a gift from Bones, who had turned out to be surprisingly good at picking out toys for little girls. I won't let them take you, Marcus whispered. No matter what it costs, I won't let them take you. He went back to the kitchen and sat at the table. His phone was on the counter, showing a text from Vincent. Dad told me, we've got your back. Don't worry. Don't worry. Easy for him to say. A knock at the door made Marcus jump. It was nearly midnight. Who would be knocking at this hour? He opened it to find Maria standing there with a folder in her hands. I'm sorry it's late. Can I come in? Marcus stepped aside. Maria sat at the kitchen table and spread out the contents of the folder. Documents, photographs, news clippings. I've been doing research, she said, on Sarah's parents, on their history. Why? Because I was a paralegal before I met Vincent, and because I don't like bullies. Maria's eyes were hard. Richard and Helen Montgomery have been trying to take children from their parents for years. Marcus froze. What? It's a pattern. They use their connections, their money, their influence to manipulate the court system. 3 times in the last decade, they've filed custody petitions against family members they deemed unfit. Twice they won. Who were the others? Maria slid a photograph across the table. A young woman with sad eyes. This is Sarah's cousin Jennifer. She had a daughter named Emily. 5 years ago, Richard and Helen filed for custody, claiming Jennifer was an addict. They won. Emily was placed with them. Marcus felt sick. Was Jennifer actually an addict? She had taken prescription painkillers after a car accident. For 3 months, then she stopped. But Richard and Helen used that to paint her as dangerous. Maria's voice was cold with anger. They had their lawyer friends spin a story about drug addiction, and the judge believed it. What happened to Emily? She lived with Richard and Helen for 2 years. Then she ran away. She's 19 now, estranged from the entire family. She told me that Richard and Helen treated her like a possession, not a person, like a prize they had won. Marcus's hands were shaking. They don't want Lily because they love her. They want her because they want to win. That's exactly it. This isn't about Lily's welfare. It's about control, about proving they were right about you all along. Maria pulled out another document. But here's the thing. They've made enemies. People who lost to them. People who know the truth. I've been making calls. There are at least 4 witnesses willing to testify about their true character. Will it be enough? Maybe, maybe not, but it's a start. Maria looked at him with determination. We're going to build a case that shows exactly who you are and exactly who they are. And when we're done, that judge is going to see the truth. Marcus stared at the documents, at the evidence of Richard and Helen's manipulation, at the pattern of behavior that stretched back years. Why are you doing this? He asked quietly. You barely know me. Maria smiled softly. Because Vincent told me your story. Because I know what it's like to be judged unfairly. And because Lily deserves to stay with her father. She gathered the documents back into the folder. Get some sleep, Marcus. We've got a lot of work to do. The next 2 weeks were a whirlwind. Marcus met with the lawyers Iron Jack had hired. 3 of them, partners at a firm in Los Angeles, specializing in family law. They were expensive, but Iron Jack waved off any discussion of payment. "Consider it an investment," he said, "in family." The lawyers built a case brick by brick. Character witnesses who could speak to Marcus's integrity, documentation of his work history, his devotion to Lily, his transformation from homeless to employed, medical records showing Lily's improved health since moving to Bakersfield. But the most powerful evidence came from an unexpected source. Marcus was working late in the clubhouse when Bones walked in with a manila envelope. "Got something for you." Inside were photographs. Marcus and Lily at a school event. Marcus teaching Lily to ride a bicycle. Marcus reading to her at bedtime. "Where did these come from?" "Maria's been taking them for months. She thought you might need them someday." Bones shrugged. "She's smart like that." Marcus flipped through the photos. Each one showed a moment of ordinary happiness. A father and daughter building a life together. "These are perfect." "There's more." Bones pulled out another envelope. Letters from the brothers. Everyone who wanted to write one. Marcus opened the envelope. Inside were dozens of handwritten letters. Testimonials from Hell's Angels members about Marcus's character, his work ethic, his devotion to Lily. "We may look scary," Bones said, "but we're not monsters. And any judge who reads those letters is going to see that." Marcus didn't trust himself to speak. He just nodded. The night before the hearing, Iron Jack called a gathering. Marcus stood in the rebuilt clubhouse, surrounded by bikers. Not just the local chapter, but representatives from clubs all over California. 200 men in leather vests, their patches glinting in the light. "Brothers," Iron Jack addressed the crowd, "tomorrow one of our own faces a battle. A battle against people who judge by appearances, who think that money and status make you better than hard work and integrity." The crowd rumbled with angry agreement. Marcus Webb came to us with nothing but his honesty. He found something valuable and gave it back when he could have taken it and run. He rebuilt our clubhouse with his own hands. He's earned his place among us. Iron Jack walked to Marcus and stood beside him. "Tomorrow we show that judge who we really are. We show him that family isn't about blood. It's about loyalty. It's about showing up when it matters." He turned to Marcus. "You're not going into that courtroom alone. We'll be there, every one of us." Marcus looked out at the sea of faces. Men who should have terrified him. Men who society said were dangerous and criminal and to be avoided at all costs. Men who had saved his life. "Thank you," he said, his voice cracking. "Thank you all." Bones stepped forward. "Whatever happens tomorrow, you're one of us. And nobody takes family from the Hell's Angels. Nobody." The crowd roared in agreement. That night, Marcus sat on Lily's bed while she fell asleep. "Daddy, why are you sad?" He stroked her hair. "I'm not sad, baby girl. Just nervous." "About the court thing tomorrow?" Marcus hadn't told her the details, but children know more than adults give them credit for. "Yes, about the court thing." Lily sat up and took his hand. "Daddy, whatever happens, I want to stay with you. You're the best daddy in the whole world." Marcus's eyes filled with tears. "I want to stay with you too, sweetheart." "Then that's what's going to happen." Lily's voice was fierce, certain, "because we're family, and family doesn't give up." Marcus hugged her tight, praying that she was right. The courtroom was smaller than Marcus had expected. He sat at a table with his lawyers, wearing a suit borrowed from Vincent. It didn't fit perfectly, but it was better than anything he owned. Across the aisle sat Richard and Helen Montgomery. They looked exactly as Marcus remembered. Polished, confident, superior. Their lawyer was a silver-haired man with cold eyes and a smile that never reached them. The gallery behind Marcus was packed with Hell's Angels. They had removed their vests, dressed in button-down shirts and slacks, but their presence was unmistakable. 200 men, filling every seat, standing against the walls, spilling into the hallway. The judge entered. A woman in her 60s with gray hair and sharp eyes that missed nothing. She looked at the packed gallery, then at both parties, her expression neutral. This court is now in session. The matter before us is the custody petition filed by Richard and Helen Montgomery regarding the minor child, Lily Webb. The next 3 hours were brutal. Richard and Helen's lawyer painted a picture of Marcus as unstable, irresponsible, dangerous. He produced documents showing the months of homelessness. He questioned Marcus's judgment in associating with known criminal organizations. He implied that Lily was in constant danger. Your Honor, the lawyer said, Mr. Webb has demonstrated a consistent pattern of poor decision-making. He allowed his family to become homeless. He failed to provide adequate medical care for his daughter. And now he has chosen to surround himself with members of an organization that the FBI has classified as a criminal enterprise. Marcus's lawyer stood up. Objection! The Hells Angels is a registered motorcycle club, not a criminal organization. Many members are legitimate businessmen, veterans, and community volunteers. Overruled on the technicality, but sustained on the characterization, the judge said. Mr. Prosecutor, stick to facts, not implications. The hearing continued. Witnesses testified. Documents were entered into evidence. Marcus felt like he was watching his life be dissected by strangers. Then it was his turn. His lawyer called him to the stand. The questions were straightforward at first. His background, his marriage, Sarah's illness and death. Mr. Webb, can you describe what happened in the months following your wife's death? Marcus took a breath. I lost everything. The medical bills consumed our savings, then our assets. I sold the business, the house, everything we owned. By the time Sarah died, we were already broke. And the homelessness? I tried to find work, but I had a young daughter who needed care. I couldn't afford childcare, and I couldn't find a job that would let me be both provider and parent. We ended up in shelters, then in our car. How did you survive? Day labor, odd jobs, whatever I could find. Marcus's voice was steady but barely. I did what I had to do to keep my daughter alive. And how did you come to know the Hells Angels? Marcus told the story. The saddlebag, the phone call, the ride to Bakersfield, the apartment, the job, the family. I could have taken that money, he said, $8,000, enough to start over. But it wasn't mine, and I wasn't going to teach my daughter that stealing is acceptable, no matter how desperate we were. Richard and Helen's lawyer stood for cross-examination. Mr. Webb, you admit that you lived in a car with your daughter for nearly a year? Yes. You admit that you failed to provide adequate medical care for her asthma? I did the best I could with what I had. You admit that you are now living in a building owned by the Hells Angels, working for the Hells Angels, and associating daily with members of the Hells Angels? Yes. And you don't see a problem with raising a child in that environment? Marcus looked at the lawyer, then at Richard and Helen, then at the gallery full of bikers. Can I tell you what I see? He asked. The lawyer hesitated. Answer the question. I see a problem with people who judge others by their appearance. I see a problem with grandparents who sue their own grandchild's father instead of trying to be part of her life. I see a problem with a system that assumes a man in a leather vest is more dangerous than a man in a three-piece suit. Marcus pointed at the gallery. Those men saved my daughter's life. They gave us a home when we had nothing. They gave me a job when no one else would. They've treated Lily with more love and kindness than her own grandparents ever did. He turned to face Richard and Helen directly. You want to talk about danger? Where were you when Lily was sleeping in a car in 20-degree weather? Where were you when she needed medicine I couldn't afford? Where were you when I was begging for work to keep her fed? His voice rose. You weren't there. You were too busy blaming me for Sarah's death. Too busy proving that you were right about me all along. You don't want Lily because you love her. You want her because you want to win. The courtroom was silent. Richard and Helen sat frozen, their masks of superiority cracking. The judge leaned forward. Mr. Webb, I appreciate your passion, but please direct your answers to the questions asked. I apologize, Your Honor. Marcus took a breath. But I will not apologize for defending the people who saved my family. The lawyers made their closing arguments. Richard and Helen's lawyer emphasized stability, resources, the dangers of Marcus's lifestyle. Marcus's lawyer emphasized love, dedication, the transformation Marcus had achieved. Then it was over. The judge retired to consider her decision. Marcus sat in the hallway surrounded by bikers. Lily was with Maria somewhere, spared from the courtroom drama. The waiting was agony. An hour passed, then two. Finally, the bailiff called them back in. Marcus stood, his heart pounding so hard he could hear it in his ears. The judge entered. She sat down. She looked at Marcus, then at Richard and Helen, then at the packed gallery. In the matter of the custody petition filed by Richard and Helen Montgomery, this court finds as follows. Marcus couldn't breathe. The petitioners have presented evidence suggesting Mr. Webb experienced a period of housing instability following the tragic death of his wife. However, the court notes that Mr. Webb never abandoned his responsibilities as a father. He maintained custody of his daughter throughout their hardship and made consistent efforts to improve their circumstances. The judge shuffled her papers. The petitioners have also raised concerns about Mr. Webb's association with the Hells Angels Motorcycle Club. The court has reviewed extensive testimony and documentation regarding this association. While the court does not condone all activities associated with motorcycle clubs, the evidence shows that Mr. Webb's specific relationships have been positive and supportive. She looked directly at Marcus. Most compelling to this court is the evidence of Mr. Webb's character. His decision to return a saddlebag containing $8,000 in cash when he and his daughter were homeless and desperate speaks to an integrity that cannot be taught and cannot be faked. Richard and Helen shifted uncomfortably in their seats. Additionally, the court has received numerous testimonials regarding Mr. Webb's devotion to his daughter, his work ethic, and his commitment to providing her with a stable and loving home. The transformation in Lily's health and happiness since her father's circumstances improved is evident. The judge removed her glasses. The court has also taken notice of a pattern in the petitioner's history: multiple custody actions against family members, questions raised about motivations. This court will not be used as a tool for control or vindication. She put her glasses back on and straightened in her chair. The petition for custody filed by Richard and Helen Montgomery is hereby denied. Full custody of the minor child Lily Webb shall remain with her father, Marcus Webb. Furthermore, this court orders that any future custody petitions by the petitioners must demonstrate substantial change in circumstances and will be subject to heightened scrutiny. Marcus's legs gave out. He grabbed the table to keep from falling. Mr. Webb, you have been through a tremendous ordeal. This court commends your integrity and your dedication to your daughter. You are free to go. The gavel came down. Behind Marcus, the gallery erupted. Bikers cheered, embraced each other, pounded on the benches. Iron Jack pushed through the crowd and grabbed Marcus in a bear hug. You did it, Iron Jack said. You won. Marcus couldn't speak. Tears were streaming down his face. Vincent appeared beside them. The lawyers are already talking to the judge about a restraining order. Richard and Helen won't be able to come near you or Lily. Maria burst through the doors with Lily in her arms. Daddy, Daddy, did we win? Marcus took his daughter and held her so tight she squeaked. We won, baby girl. We won. Lily pulled back and looked at his tear-stained face. Then why are you crying? Because I'm happy. So happy. She wiped his tears with her small hands. Don't cry, Daddy. We're together. That's all that matters. Marcus looked around at the bikers surrounding them. At Iron Jack, and Vincent and Maria, and Bones, and all the others. At the family he had found in the most unexpected place. You're right, baby girl. We're together, and we always will be. The celebration started the moment they left the courthouse. Someone had brought a cooler full of drinks. Someone else had called ahead to a restaurant. Within an hour, Marcus found himself in a private room at an Italian place in downtown Bakersfield, surrounded by 200 bikers who were treating his custody victory like a championship win. Lily sat on Bones's shoulders, eating garlic bread and laughing as the massive biker pretended to be a horse. Maria was organizing a toast. Vincent was on the phone, telling someone the news. Iron Jack sat beside Marcus, watching the chaos with something that might have been pride. "How does it feel?" Iron Jack asked. Marcus shook his head. "Like I'm dreaming, like I'm going to wake up any second and be back in that car under the overpass." "You're not dreaming. This is real." Iron Jack clinked his glass against Marcus's. "You earned this, every bit of it. I couldn't have done it without you, without all of you. That's what family is for." Marcus watched Lily giggle as Bones made horse sounds and galloped around the room. She was happy, truly happy. Not the forced happiness of a child trying to protect her father, but the genuine joy of a 7-year-old who felt safe. "She's incredible," Iron Jack said, following Marcus's gaze. "Strong like her father. Strong like her mother. Sarah was the strong one. I just borrowed her courage." "Borrowed courage is still courage." Iron Jack set down his glass. "I need to talk to you about something. Not now, but tomorrow. Something important." Marcus felt a flicker of worry. "Is something wrong?" "No, something right." Iron Jack smiled, and the expression transformed his weathered face. "Just enjoy tonight. Tomorrow we'll talk." The party lasted until midnight. By the time Marcus carried a sleeping Lily back to the apartment, he was exhausted in a way that had nothing to do with physical tiredness. The emotional weight of the day had drained everything from him. He tucked Lily into bed and sat beside her for a long time, watching her sleep. Her breathing was steady, her face was peaceful. She looked like Sarah when she slept. "We made it," Marcus whispered. "We really made it." He went to the kitchen and sat at the table, too wired to sleep. His phone was full of text messages from people he barely knew, congratulating him on the victory. Word traveled fast in the biker community. One message stood out, from a number he didn't recognize. "Mr. Webb, my name is Jennifer Montgomery. I was Sarah's cousin. I testified against Richard and Helen in your case. I would like to meet you and Lily, if you're willing. I have something that belongs to you." Marcus stared at the message for a long time. Jennifer, the cousin whose daughter had been taken by Richard and Helen, the one Maria had told him about. He typed back, "I would like that. When?" The response came immediately. "Tomorrow morning? I'm in Bakersfield. I drove down for the hearing." Marcus sent her the address. Jennifer arrived at 9 o'clock the next morning. She was younger than Marcus had expected, mid-30s with dark hair and tired eyes. She carried a small box under her arm. "Thank you for seeing me," she said as Marcus let her in. "I know this is unexpected. Maria told me about you, about what happened with your daughter." Jennifer's face tightened. "Emily, she's 19 now. We've reconnected in the last few years. It took a long time, but we're rebuilding." "I'm glad." "Me too." Jennifer sat at the kitchen table. "I wanted to meet you because Sarah was my best friend growing up. We were like sisters before Richard and Helen poisoned our family." Marcus sat across from her. "Sarah mentioned you. She said you were the only one who understood what it was like to be part of that family." "Because I wasn't really part of it. I was the poor cousin, the one who didn't meet their standards." Jennifer's voice was bitter. "Sarah was the only one who treated me like a person instead of a problem." "That sounds like her." "When she died, I wanted to reach out to you. I wanted to help, but Richard and Helen were already preparing their first custody case, and I was afraid that any contact would make things worse." "It's okay, I understand." "No, it's not okay. I should have been braver." Jennifer pushed the box across the table. "This is why I'm here. Sarah gave this to me 6 months before she died. She asked me to keep it safe. to give it to you when the time was right. Marcus's hands were shaking as he opened the box. Inside was a leather journal, worn and soft from years of use, and beneath it, a stack of letters tied with a ribbon. What is this? Sarah kept a journal through her entire illness, and she wrote letters to you, to Lily, to the future. Jennifer's eyes were bright with tears. She wanted you to have them. She wanted Lily to know her when she was old enough. Marcus opened the journal. Sarah's handwriting filled the pages. Her thoughts, her fears, her hopes, her love. The first entry was dated 3 days after her diagnosis. I'm scared, more scared than I've ever been. But when I look at Marcus, when I look at Lily, I know I have to fight. I have to fight for every moment I can get. Marcus couldn't read anymore. His vision was too blurred with tears. She talked about you constantly, Jennifer said softly, about how lucky she was to have found you, about how you were the best father Lily could ever have. She never told me about this. She didn't want to burden you. You were already carrying so much. Jennifer reached across the table and touched his hand. Sarah knew she was going to die. She accepted it before any of us did, and she spent her last months making sure you and Lily would be okay. Marcus picked up the stack of letters. The one on top was addressed to him. Marcus, my love, if you're reading this, I'm gone. Please don't be sad. Please don't blame yourself. You did everything you could, and you loved me more than I ever deserved. His hands were shaking so badly, he almost dropped the letter. There are letters for Lily too, Jennifer said, for every birthday until she turns 18. Sarah wanted to be there for her, even when she couldn't be. How did you keep this secret for so long? It wasn't easy, especially when I saw what was happening to you. The homelessness, the custody battle. Jennifer's voice cracked. I wanted to help. I wanted to give you the letters, but Sarah made me promise to wait. She said you needed to find your own strength first. My own strength? She knew you, Marcus, better than anyone. She knew that if you had these letters while you were struggling, you would have fallen apart. You needed to rebuild yourself first. Jennifer smiled through her tears. And you did. You rebuilt yourself and you rebuilt your family. Sarah would be so proud of you. Marcus clutched the journal to his chest and cried. Jennifer stayed for an hour, sharing stories about Sarah that Marcus had never heard. Stories about their childhood, their secrets, their dreams. By the time she left, Marcus felt like he had been given a gift beyond measure. Lily woke up to find her father sitting at the kitchen table, surrounded by letters. Daddy, what's all that? Marcus wiped his eyes and smiled. Presents, from Mommy. Lily's eyes went wide. From Mommy? But Mommy's in heaven. I know, baby girl, but before she went to heaven, she wrote letters for us. Letters to tell us how much she loves us. Lily climbed into his lap. Can I see? Marcus sorted through the stack until he found one addressed to Lily, marked, for my 7th birthday. This one is for you. Lily opened the letter with trembling hands. Her reading was still developing, so Marcus helped her with the difficult words. My dearest Lily, today you are 7 years old. I wish I could be there to see you blow out your candles and open your presents. But even though I can't be there in person, I'm always with you in your heart. You are the bravest, most wonderful girl in the whole world, and I love you more than all the stars in the sky. Lily was crying by the end. Mommy wrote this for me? She wrote one for every birthday until you're 18. She wanted to be part of your life, even from heaven. Lily threw her arms around Marcus's neck. I miss her, Daddy. I miss her too, baby girl, every single day. They sat together for a long time, holding each other, sharing their grief and their love. Iron Jack found Marcus that afternoon, still sitting at the kitchen table with Sarah's journal open in front of him. Jennifer found you. Marcus looked up. You knew? Maria tracked her down during the custody investigation. She told us about the letters, but she said she had to give them to you herself, that Sarah had made her promise. Why didn't you tell me? Because it wasn't my secret to tell. Iron Jack sat down. And because Maria was right, you needed to be ready. Marcus looked at the journal. She knew everything. She knew she was going to die. She knew I was going to struggle. She knew I would need time to rebuild. She sounds like an incredible woman. She was. She really was. Iron Jack was quiet for a moment. Then he said, "There's something else, something I need to show you." He pulled an envelope from his jacket and set it on the table. "What's this?" "Open it." Inside was a photograph, old, faded, slightly damaged. It showed a young man in military uniform standing beside a motorcycle. Marcus looked closer. The face was familiar somehow. The eyes, the set of the jaw. "Who is this?" "Raymond Webb, your father, taken in 1983. Marcus's heart stopped. "How do you have a picture of my father?" "Look at the motorcycle." Marcus looked. It was a Harley-Davidson, obviously well-loved. And on the tank, barely visible in the faded photograph, was a logo, a death head, the Hells Angels death head. "No," Marcus breathed. "That's impossible." "Your father was a member of our club for 12 years, Iron Jack said quietly, from 1979 to 1991. He left when you were born because he wanted to give you a different life." Marcus couldn't breathe. His father, his honest, hard-working, integrity above everything father, a Hell's Angel. "He never told me. He made us promise to keep it secret. He didn't want you to be influenced by his past. He wanted you to make your own choices." "But how? How did you know?" "I didn't, not at first." Iron Jack leaned forward. "When you called about the saddlebag, something about your name felt familiar. Webb isn't common. I ran it through our records and found Raymond's file." Marcus stared at the photograph. His father, young and strong, standing beside a Harley with a proud smile. "He was a good man," Iron Jack continued. "One of the best I ever knew. He left the club, but we never forgot him. When he died, we sent flowers. We didn't sign the card because we knew he wouldn't have wanted you to know." "The white roses." "What?" "At his funeral, there was a huge arrangement of white roses. No card, no name. My mother never knew who sent them." Marcus's voice was shaking. "That was you?" "That was us, our way of honoring a brother." Marcus picked up the photograph, his father's face frozen in time. The man who had taught him everything about integrity and honor in doing the right thing. A Hell's Angel. "The day I found that saddlebag," Marcus said slowly, "the decision I made to call you instead of taking the money, that was because of him, because of what he taught me." "I know. And all this time you knew who I was?" "Not until after I met you. I ran your name that first night in Barstow." Iron Jack's voice was thick with emotion. "When I saw Raymond's file, I understood why you did what you did. It's in your blood, the same integrity, the same honor." Marcus was crying now, tears streaming down his face without shame. "He never told me. All those years, all those lessons about being a good man, he never told me where it came from. Because he was protecting you, the same way you protect Lily." Iron Jack reached across the table and gripped Marcus's hand. "Your father was my brother. That makes you my nephew. It makes everything I've done for you not just charity, but family obligation." Family. Family. Iron Jack's grip tightened. "You were always supposed to find us, Marcus. The saddlebag, the phone call, all of it. Your father's legacy brought you home." Marcus broke down completely. 40 years of secrets revealed in a single moment. His entire understanding of his father, his family, his identity transformed. Iron Jack held him while he cried. The way a father holds a son, the way family holds family. The dedication ceremony for the clubhouse was scheduled for that Saturday. Marcus spent the intervening days in a daze, reading Sarah's journal, looking at the photograph of his father, processing revelations that had turned his world upside down. Lily sensed his distraction. "Daddy, are you okay?" "I'm better than okay, baby girl. I'm just thinking about a lot of things." "About Mommy? And the letters?" "About Mommy, about your grandfather, about how families work in ways we don't always understand." Lily climbed into his lap. "Tell me about Grandpa Raymond. You never talk about him." So Marcus told her about the construction worker who raised him alone, about the lessons in integrity and honor, about the love that had shaped everything Marcus had become, and now about the secret his father had kept his entire life. "Grandpa was a biker?" Lily's eyes were wide. "Like Iron Jack?" "Exactly like Iron Jack. They were brothers in the same club." "Why didn't he tell you?" "Because he wanted me to find my own path. He didn't want his past to define my future." Lily thought about this. "But you found the bikers anyway." "I did. So maybe it was supposed to happen. Maybe Grandpa knew you would find them when you needed them." Marcus hugged her tight. Out of the mouths of babes. Saturday arrived with clear skies and a gentle wind. The clubhouse parking lot filled with motorcycles before noon. Not just California chapters, but bikers from Nevada, Arizona, Oregon. Word had spread about the homeless man who returned a saddlebag, rebuilt a clubhouse, won a custody battle, and turned out to be the son of a beloved former member. Marcus stood in the main hall, looking at his work. The bar gleamed. The stage was ready. The tables and chairs filled the floor in perfect arrangement. Vincent found him there. "Nervous?" "Terrified." "Why? You've already done the hard part." "This is different. This is being welcomed into something I still don't fully understand." Vincent smiled. "None of us fully understand it. That's the beauty of family. You don't have to understand it. You just have to belong to it." The ceremony began at 3 o'clock. Iron Jack took the stage, looking out over a crowd of more than 300 bikers. Maria stood with Lily near the front, making sure the little girl could see everything. "Brothers," Iron Jack's voice carried across the hall, "we gather today to dedicate this clubhouse. But more than that, we gather to celebrate something rare, something precious." The crowd fell silent. 6 months ago, a man found a saddlebag on the side of the highway. Inside was money, enough money to change his life. He was homeless. His daughter was hungry and sick. He had every reason to take that money and disappear. Iron Jack paused, letting the words sink in. But Marcus Webb didn't take the money. He called the number inside the bag and gave everything back. Not because he expected a reward, not because he thought anyone was watching, but because it was the right thing to do. Murmurs of respect rippled through the crowd. In doing so, Marcus saved something more valuable than money. He saved my son's grandmother's ring. He saved a piece of our family history, and he reminded us all why integrity matters. Iron Jack stepped down from the stage and walked toward Marcus. But that's not all. Marcus Webb rebuilt this clubhouse with his own hands. Every table, every chair, every inch of that bar was crafted by a man who had lost everything except his dignity. And in doing so, he proved that a man's worth is not measured by his circumstances, but by his character. He stopped in front of Marcus and reached into his vest. "And there's one more thing, something most of you don't know." The crowd leaned forward. 40 years ago, a young man named Raymond Webb joined this club. He rode with us for 12 years. He was one of the most honorable men I ever knew. When his son was born, he left the club to give that child a better life. He made us promise never to reveal his past. Iron Jack held up the photograph of Raymond. Raymond Webb died 20 years ago, but his legacy lives on. In the lessons he taught his son, in the integrity he passed down through his blood, and in the man standing before us today. He turned to face Marcus. "Marcus Webb, you came to us as a stranger, but you were never truly a stranger. Your father's blood flows in your veins. His honor beats in your heart. You belong to this family by birth and by choice." Iron Jack pulled out a leather patch. It showed the Hell's Angels death head with a silver border and the word Legacy stitched beneath it. This patch has only been given 3 times in our history to those who carry the blood of brothers past. Marcus Webb, son of Raymond Webb, I present you with this honor. You are not just a friend of this club, you are a legacy of this club. Your family's story is our story, and your future is our future. The crowd erupted. Bikers surged forward to embrace Marcus, to shake his hand, to welcome him into a brotherhood that had been his birthright all along. Lily broke free from Maria and ran to her father. Marcus lifted her into his arms as tears streamed down his face. "Daddy, you're famous," Lily laughed. "We're famous, baby girl. We're family." Iron Jack stepped close and spoke quietly in Marcus's ear. "Your father would be so proud of you. Everything you've done, everything you've become, he would be so proud." Marcus couldn't speak. He could only nod. The celebration continued into the evening. Music played, food was served, laughter filled the hall that Marcus had built with his own hands. At some point, Marcus found himself standing alone on the stage, looking out over the crowd. 300 bikers, eating and drinking and celebrating. His daughter being passed from one uncle to another like a beloved princess. His new family surrounding him with a love he had never expected to find. Vincent appeared beside him. "Hell of a day. Hell of a life. Scared about Phoenix?" Marcus nodded. The job with Thomas Castellano started in 3 weeks. A new city, a new career, a new chapter. "Don't be. You've got family everywhere now. Phoenix chapter is already expecting you. They've been fighting over who gets to show you around." "They know about me?" "Brother, everyone knows about you. The guy who returned the saddlebag, rebuilt the clubhouse, won the custody battle, and turned out to be Raymond Webb's son? You're a legend." Marcus laughed. It still felt strange being called a legend. 6 months ago, he had been nobody, less than nobody, a homeless man trying to keep his daughter alive. "I never wanted to be famous." Nobody wants to be famous for the right reasons. But you are, and that means something. Vincent put a hand on his shoulder. "Your father left this club to protect you, but he never stopped being one of us. And now, neither will you." Marcus looked at the patch on his vest. Legacy. His father's legacy. His family's legacy. His legacy. "Thank you, Vincent, for everything." "Don't thank me. Thank your father. He's the one who started all this 40 years ago." Marcus touched the patch. Somewhere he knew his father was watching. His mother too. And Sarah. All of them watching over him and Lily. Guiding them. Protecting them. "Hey, Daddy." Lily's voice cut through the noise. She was waving at him from across the room, her face smeared with chocolate cake. "Come dance with me." Marcus smiled. "I'm coming, baby girl." He stepped off the stage and walked toward his daughter, toward his future, toward the life that had seemed impossible just 6 months ago. A legacy of integrity, a family of outcasts, a future built on the foundation of a single, honest choice. Marcus Webb had found his way home. The moving truck pulled away from the Bakersfield apartment at 6 in the morning. Marcus stood on the sidewalk, watching it disappear around the corner. Everything he and Lily owned was inside that truck. Not much by most standards, but infinitely more than they had possessed 8 months ago. Lily tugged on his hand. "Daddy, I don't want to leave." "I know, baby girl, but Phoenix is going to be amazing, you'll see." "But what about Maria, and Bones, and everybody?" Marcus knelt down to her level. "They're not going anywhere. They're still our family. We're just going to live in a different city." "Promise?" "Promise." Iron Jack's Harley rumbled up beside them. Behind him, a convoy of 30 motorcycles filled the street. The Phoenix escort, ready to ride with Marcus and Lily to their new home. "You ready?" Iron Jack asked. Marcus looked at the apartment one last time, the place that had saved their lives, the place where everything had changed. "Ready." They climbed into the pickup truck that Thomas Castellano had sent for them. It was new, reliable, a far cry from the rusted Civic that had been their home for 11 months. That car had finally died 2 weeks after they arrived in Bakersfield. Bones had towed it away, and Marcus had watched it go without sadness. That chapter was over. The convoy rolled out of Bakersfield as the sun rose over the mountains. 30 Hells Angels, escorting a carpenter and his daughter to their new life. Lily pressed her face against the window, watching the bikes. "Daddy, this is like a parade." "It's better than a parade. It's family." "Do they do this for everyone?" "No, baby girl, they do this for us." The ride to Phoenix took 6 hours. They stopped twice for gas and food, and both times the bikers surrounded Marcus and Lily like a protective shield. Strangers stared. Some took pictures. A few looked frightened. Marcus didn't care anymore. He had learned that the opinions of strangers meant nothing. What mattered was the people who showed up when you needed them. They arrived in Phoenix at 2 in the afternoon. Thomas Castellano was waiting at the house he had arranged for them. It was small but perfect. 2 bedrooms, a backyard, a garage where Marcus could set up a workshop. The neighborhood was quiet, family-oriented, exactly what Lily needed. "Welcome home," Thomas said, shaking Marcus's hand. "The job starts Monday. Take the weekend to settle in." "Thank you for everything." "Thank me by doing great work. That's all I ask." Iron Jack pulled Marcus aside while the other bikers helped unload the truck. "The Phoenix chapter knows you're coming. Their president is a man named Diego. Good guy. Tough, but fair." Iron Jack handed Marcus a business card. "Any problems, you call him. Any problems at all." "I will." "And Marcus?" Iron Jack's voice softened. "I'm proud of you. Your father would be proud of you too." Marcus embraced the older man. "Thank you, Jack, for giving us a second chance." "You gave yourself a second chance. I just opened the door." The bikers stayed for dinner. Someone had ordered pizzas. Someone else had brought drinks. The small house was packed with leather vests and laughter, and Lily ran from room to room, hugging everyone, making them promise to visit. By midnight, they were gone. The house was quiet. Lily was asleep in her new room, her stuffed bear clutched to her chest. Marcus sat on the back porch, looking at the stars. Phoenix stars, different from Bakersfield stars, different from Barstow stars, but the same sky that had covered him during those 11 months of hell. He pulled out Sarah's journal and opened it to a random page. "Marcus doesn't know how strong he is. He thinks I'm the strong one, but he's wrong. He's the one who holds us together. He's the one who never gives up. When I'm gone, he's going to need to remember that. He's going to need to remember that strength isn't about never falling down. It's about getting back up every single time." Marcus closed the journal and cried, not from sadness, from gratitude, from the overwhelming realization that he had made it. Against all odds, against all expectations, he had made it. Monday morning arrived faster than Marcus expected. He dropped Lily at her new school, a bright building with a playground and friendly teachers. She was nervous, clutching his hand at the entrance. "What if they don't like me?" "They're going to love you. Just be yourself." "What if I don't make friends?" "You made friends with 80 bikers. You can make friends with anybody." Lily laughed despite her nervousness. "That's true." Marcus knelt down and hugged her. "I'll be here at 3 o'clock, right here, okay?" "Okay, Daddy." She walked into the school, looking back once to wave. Marcus watched until she disappeared inside, his heart full of fear and hope in equal measure. Then he drove to the construction site. Thomas Castellano's development was massive. 200 homes in various stages of completion, spread across a sprawling tract of land. Workers swarmed everywhere, trucks rumbled past, the sound of hammers and saws filled the air. Thomas met him at the site office. "Ready to work?" "More than ready." "Good, because we're behind schedule and I need someone who can push these crews without breaking them." Thomas handed him a hard hat. "You're foreman of the custom work, interior finishes. cabinetry, specialty carpentry. 20 men under you. 20? You'll have to earn their respect. Some of them have been doing this for decades. They're not going to take orders from a newcomer without pushback. Marcus put on the hard hat. I'm used to earning respect. I know you are. That's why I hired you. The first week was brutal. The crew was exactly as Thomas had warned. Experienced men, set in their ways, skeptical of the new foreman who had appeared out of nowhere. They tested Marcus constantly, ignored his instructions, made subtle digs about his background. Marcus responded the only way he knew how. He outworked them. He arrived before anyone else and left after everyone was gone. He took on the hardest tasks himself, demonstrating techniques that most of the crew had never seen. He never raised his voice, never pulled rank, never demanded respect he hadn't earned. By the end of the second week, the skepticism was fading. By the end of the first month, it was gone completely. Where did you learn to do that? A veteran carpenter named Frank asked, watching Marcus execute a complex joint that most modern workers had never even attempted. My father taught me, before power tools and shortcuts, the old way. Frank nodded slowly. My grandfather worked like that. I haven't seen craftsmanship like this in 30 years. It takes longer, but it lasts forever. That's what my grandfather used to say. From that day forward, Frank became Marcus's strongest ally on the crew, and one by one, the others followed. Lily thrived in Phoenix. Within a month, she had friends, real friends, not just the polite acquaintances of a transient child. She joined the soccer team, started taking art lessons, talked constantly about a boy named Tyler, who she insisted she did not like, even though she mentioned him every single day. Her asthma improved dramatically. The dry Phoenix air was better for her lungs than the damp California coast. She hadn't needed her inhaler in weeks. One evening, Marcus found her in her room, writing in a notebook. "What are you working on, baby girl?" "A letter, to Mommy." Marcus sat on the edge of her bed. "Can I ask what you're telling her?" "Everything. About the new house, about my school, about the bikers." Lily looked up with serious eyes. "Do you think she can read it? In heaven?" "I think she can read everything in your heart. The letters just help you organize your thoughts." "That's what I thought too." Lily went back to writing. "I'm telling her about you, Daddy, about how hard you work, about how you never give up. I want her to know you're okay." Marcus's throat tightened. "I think she already knows." "Yeah, but I want to tell her anyway." He kissed the top of her head and left her to her writing. In the kitchen, he opened Sarah's journal to the next unread entry. "The doctors say I have maybe 6 months left, probably less. I haven't told Marcus yet. I'm not ready to see his face when he hears the number, but I need to start preparing. For him, for Lily, for everything that comes after. I need to make sure they'll be okay without me." Marcus read the entry 3 times. 6 months. Sarah had known exactly how much time she had left, and she had spent every moment preparing for their future, writing letters, keeping journals, making arrangements with Jennifer. She had done everything she could to protect them from beyond the grave. And now, finally, her preparations were paying off. The call came at 3 in the morning, 4 months after they moved to Phoenix. Marcus grabbed his phone, heart pounding. Calls at this hour were never good news. "Marcus, it's Diego, Phoenix chapter president. What's wrong?" "Nothing's wrong. Something's right. You need to come to the clubhouse. Now." "It's 3 in the morning." "I know. Trust me, you want to be here for this." Marcus called Maria, who had moved to Phoenix to be closer to them, and asked her to stay with Lily. Then he drove to the Hells Angels clubhouse on the outskirts of the city. The parking lot was full. At 3 in the morning on a Tuesday, the lot was completely full. Diego met him at the door. He was a big man, covered in tattoos, with eyes that missed nothing. "Come with me." He led Marcus through the clubhouse to a back room. Inside, seated around a large table, were men Marcus recognized from photographs in Iron Jack's office. Presidents from chapters across the western United States, the leadership of the Hells Angels, and at the head of the table sat Iron Jack. "Marcus, sit down." Marcus took the empty chair, his mind racing. "What is this?" "This is a council meeting, called specifically for you." "For me? Why?" Iron Jack stood up. 8 months ago, you found a saddlebag on the side of the road. You called us instead of taking the money. That single act of integrity set off a chain of events that has touched every person in this room. Marcus looked around the table. A dozen presidents representing thousands of members, all watching him. Since that day, you've rebuilt our Bakersfield clubhouse. You've won a custody battle that showed the world who we really are. You've honored your father's legacy in ways that Raymond himself could never have imagined. Iron Jack walked around the table until he was standing behind Marcus. "But there's something else, something we've been watching, something we've been discussing." "What?" "The way you treat people, the way you work, the way you've raised your daughter in the middle of chaos without ever losing your integrity." Iron Jack put his hands on Marcus's shoulders. "The Hells Angels has existed for almost 80 years. In that time, we've faced persecution, prosecution, and public hatred. We've been called criminals, thugs, monsters, and sometimes we've deserved those names." The other presidents nodded slowly. "But we've also been brothers, fathers, protectors. We've helped our communities, supported our families, stood by each other when no one else would." Iron Jack's grip tightened. "The world doesn't see that side of us. They only see the leather and the patches and the police reports. They don't see the food drives, the charity rides, the families we've helped." He moved back to the head of the table. "We want to change that. We want to show the world who we really are, and we want you to help us do it." Marcus shook his head, confused. "How?" Diego slid a folder across the table. "Open it." Inside were documents, incorporation papers, tax filings, a mission statement. "The Raymond Webb Foundation," Diego said, "a non-profit organization dedicated to helping homeless families rebuild their lives. Named after your father, run by you." Marcus couldn't breathe. "We're funding it," Iron Jack said. "Every chapter represented here has committed to annual contributions. We've already raised $500,000. Within 5 years, we expect to be helping thousands of families across the country." "Why me?" "Because you lived it. You know what it's like to be homeless, desperate, invisible. You know what it takes to climb out." Iron Jack's eyes were bright with emotion. "And because your story can change how people see us. A homeless man helped by the Hells Angels, now helping others through a foundation we created. That's a narrative that can transform our reputation." Marcus looked at the documents in his hands. His father's name, his mission, his legacy. "I don't know what to say." "Say yes," Iron Jack smiled. "That's all you have to do. Say yes, and we'll handle everything else." Marcus thought about Lily, about Sarah, about his father, about all the people who had helped them when they had nothing. "Yes," he said, "absolutely yes." The room erupted in cheers. The Raymond Webb Foundation launched 6 months later. Marcus continued his work as foreman during the day, but his evenings and weekends were consumed by the foundation, finding families in need, connecting them with resources, providing the same kind of support that the Hells Angels had provided for him. The first family they helped was a single mother named Angela with 3 children. They had been living in their car for 4 months after Angela's husband died in a workplace accident. The foundation provided housing assistance, job training, and childcare support. Within 6 months, Angela was working full-time and her children were thriving in school. "I don't know how to thank you," Angela said, tears streaming down her face. "You don't have to thank me. Just pass it on someday. Help someone else when you can." "I will. I promise." More families followed, then more. Word spread through homeless communities, through churches, through social service agencies. The Raymond Webb Foundation became known as a last resort for families who had exhausted every other option. And always, Marcus told them his story. About the saddlebag, about the phone call, about the bikers who had saved his life. People will judge you by how you look, he would say. They'll make assumptions about who you are based on your circumstances. Don't listen to them. Your character is not defined by your situation. It's defined by your choices. The media took notice. A local news station did a story on the foundation, then a regional network, then national coverage. The image of Hell's Angels helping homeless families challenged every stereotype, every assumption, every fear. Letters poured in. Donations increased. Other motorcycle clubs reached out, wanting to participate. Within 2 years, the foundation had chapters in 12 states. Marcus was interviewed on morning shows, in magazines, on podcasts. He always said the same thing. I found a saddlebag with $8,000 inside. I was homeless. My daughter was hungry and sick. I could have taken the money and no one would ever have known. He would pause, letting the audience lean in. But I called the number inside and gave everything back. Because that's what my father taught me. That's what integrity means. And that single decision changed my entire life. The interviewers always ask the same question. Do you ever regret it? Do you ever wonder what would have happened if you had kept the money? And Marcus always gave the same answer. If I had kept the money, I would have survived for a few more months, maybe a year. But I would have lost something more valuable. I would have lost my integrity. I would have lost the ability to look my daughter in the eyes and teach her about honesty. I would have lost myself. He would smile, the smile of a man at peace with his choices. The money would have run out eventually, but the family I found, the purpose I discovered, the life I built, that lasts forever. 3 years after finding the saddlebag, Marcus stood on the stage of a convention center in Las Vegas. The audience was massive. 3,000 people gathered for the annual Homeless Services Conference. Social workers, nonprofit leaders, government officials, all waiting to hear from the man whose story had become legendary. But Marcus wasn't thinking about the audience. He was thinking about Lily, now 10 years old, sitting in the front row with Maria and Iron Jack. He was thinking about Sarah, whose letters he still read every night. He was thinking about his father, whose legacy had become his own. 10 years ago, Marcus began, I was a successful carpenter with a beautiful wife and a perfect daughter. I had everything I ever wanted. The audience was silent, attentive. Then my wife got sick, cancer, stage 4. I spent everything trying to save her, sold the business, sold the house, sold everything we owned. He paused. She died anyway, and I was left with nothing but my daughter and my grief. Marcus looked at Lily. She smiled at him, and he felt his heart swell with love. For 11 months, we lived in a car. We slept in parking lots and under overpasses. We ate whatever we could find, whenever we could find it. I watched my daughter get thinner, sicker, more desperate, and I felt like the worst father in the world. He took a breath. Then one morning, I found a saddlebag on the side of the highway. Inside was $8,000 in cash, more money than I had seen in years, enough to feed my daughter, to rent an apartment, to start over. The audience leaned forward. I could have taken it. No one was watching. No one would ever have known. And my daughter was hungry. Marcus let the silence stretch. But I didn't take it. I found a phone number inside the bag, and I called it. I gave everything back. Murmurs rippled through the audience. People asked me why. Why would a desperate man with a starving child give away $8,000? And the answer is simple. He looked directly at Lily. Because I wanted to be the kind of father my daughter deserved. I wanted to be able to look her in the eyes and teach her about honesty, about integrity, about doing the right thing even when it's hard. I couldn't do that if I had stolen to survive. Marcus stepped out from behind the podium. That phone call changed my life. It brought me to a community of people who had been taught to help others. It gave me a job, a home, a family. It connected me to my father's legacy in ways I never expected. He gestured to Iron Jack. The men who helped me were Hell's Angels, the most notorious motorcycle club in America. The people everyone tells you to fear, and they saved my life. Gasps from the audience, a few nervous laughs. I'm not here to tell you that bikers are saints. They're not. They're human beings, with all the flaws and failures that implies. But I am here to tell you that the people we judge most harshly are often the ones most willing to help. Marcus walked to the edge of the stage. Homeless people are not lazy. They're not stupid. They're not worthless. They're human beings who have fallen through the cracks of a system that doesn't care about them. They need help, not judgment. They need opportunity, not condemnation. His voice rose with passion. The Raymond Webb Foundation exists because 81 bikers saw a homeless man and decided to help instead of judge. It exists because my father taught me that integrity matters more than survival. It exists because one act of honesty can change the trajectory of an entire life. Marcus looked out at the sea of faces. I found a saddlebag with $8,000. I gave it back, and I got something worth infinitely more in return. He smiled. I got a family, I got a purpose, I got a second chance. The applause started slowly, then built to a thunderous ovation. 3,000 people on their feet, celebrating not just Marcus's story, but the hope it represented. Lily ran onto the stage and threw herself into his arms. I'm so proud of you, Daddy. I'm proud of you too, baby girl. Everything I did for you. Iron Jack joined them on stage, his weathered face wet with tears. Your father is watching, he said quietly. Raymond and Sarah both. They're watching, and they're proud. Marcus held his daughter, looked out at the cheering crowd, and felt something he hadn't felt in years. Complete peace. That night, back at the hotel, Marcus sat with Lily and read from Sarah's journal. They had made it a tradition. Every Sunday night, they would read an entry together. It kept Sarah's memory alive, kept her voice present in their daily lives. Tonight's entry was dated 2 weeks before Sarah died. I don't have much time left. The doctors say days, maybe a week. But I'm not scared anymore. I'm at peace. Because I know that Marcus will take care of Lily. I know that he will teach her to be kind and honest and brave. I know that she will grow up to be an amazing woman. And I know that someday, somehow, Marcus will find his way back to happiness. Marcus's voice broke. Lily snuggled closer to him. He doesn't believe it now. He's too consumed with grief and fear to see the future. But I can see it. I can see him rebuilding. I can see him finding love again. Not romantic love, but the love of family and community. I can see him becoming the man he was always meant to be. Marcus turned the page. And when that happens, I want him to know something. I want him to know that I will be watching, that I will be cheering him on, that my love for him and for Lily will never, ever end. The final words blurred through his tears. Be happy, my love. That's all I want. Be happy and take care of our girl. And know that wherever you go, whatever you do, I am with you. Always. Marcus closed the journal. Lily wiped her eyes. Mommy was really smart, wasn't she? The smartest person I ever knew. She knew you would be okay, even when you didn't know it yourself. Marcus hugged his daughter tight. She knew a lot of things I'm still discovering. Like what? Like the fact that family isn't about blood. It's about who shows up when you need them. Lily nodded seriously. That's what you always say. Because it's true, and because your mother taught it to me, even from heaven. They sat together in silence, holding each other, sharing their grief and their gratitude. Outside the window, the Las Vegas lights glittered like a million stars. 5 years after finding the saddlebag, Marcus Webb stood in his backyard in Phoenix, watching Lily play soccer with her friends. She was 12 now, taller, stronger, more beautiful every day. She had Sarah's eyes and Raymond's stubbornness and Marcus's determination. She was in every way the best of all of them. The Raymond Webb Foundation had helped over 10,000 families across 23 states. Marcus had stepped back from day-to-day operations, turning leadership over to professionals while he focused on what he loved most, carpentry and his daughter. He still worked construction, still built things with his hands, still found peace in the smell of sawdust and the satisfaction of a perfect joint. But his real work was different now. Every month, he visited homeless shelters and spoke to families in crisis. He told them his story. He showed them that recovery was possible. He gave them hope when they had none. And always, always, he carried the saddlebag with him. The same saddlebag he had found on that November morning in Barstow. The same saddlebag that had changed everything. "Why do you bring that old thing everywhere?" a shelter resident had asked him once. "Because it reminds me," Marcus had answered, "of who I was, of who I became, of the choice that made everything possible." The resident had looked at him with desperate, hopeful eyes. "Do you really think things can get better?" "I don't think it, I know it, because I've lived it." Now, watching Lily score a goal and celebrate with her friends, Marcus felt that familiar sense of peace wash over him. The journey had been impossible. The losses had been devastating. The challenges had been overwhelming. But he had made it. They had made it. A motorcycle rumbled into the driveway. Iron Jack, now in his 70s, still rode every chance he got. "Grandpa Jack!" Lily ran across the yard and threw herself into his arms. "Hey, princess, scoring goals, I see. 3 today. I'm the best on the team." That doesn't surprise me one bit. Iron Jack walked over to Marcus, moving slower than he used to, but still strong. "Hell of a life you've built here. Couldn't have done it without you." "Sure you could have, just would have taken longer." Iron Jack looked at Lily, running back to her friends. "She's incredible. She's her mother's daughter. She's her father's daughter too. Don't sell yourself short." They stood in comfortable silence, watching the children play. "I got a call from a reporter yesterday," Iron Jack said. "National Magazine. They want to do a 10-year retrospective. The homeless man, the saddlebag, the bikers, the whole story." "Another one?" "This one's different. They want to focus on the foundation, on all the families we've helped, on what it means for the future." Marcus considered it. "You think I should do it?" "I think you should do whatever feels right, but I also think your story has helped a lot of people, and it can help a lot more." Marcus watched his daughter laugh with her friends. Healthy, happy, loved. "Okay," he said, "I'll do it." "Good." Iron Jack put a hand on Marcus's shoulder. "Your father would be proud, you know. Everything you've done, everything you've become. He would be so proud." "I know, I feel him sometimes, him and Sarah, watching over us." "They are, I'm certain of it." The sun began to set, painting the Phoenix sky in shades of orange and gold. The children continued playing. The motorcycles continued rumbling in the distance. And Marcus Webb, once homeless and hopeless, stood in his backyard and smiled. He had found a saddlebag with $8,000. He had given it back. And in doing so, he had discovered something worth infinitely more than money. He had discovered that integrity was not just a principle, but a path. He had discovered that family was not just blood, but choice. He had discovered that hope was not just a feeling, but a decision. And he had discovered that sometimes the worst moments of our lives are just the beginning of something extraordinary. Marcus Webb had lost everything, and then he had found it all again. Not by luck, not by chance, not by circumstances beyond his control, but by a single choice made in a moment of desperation that proved who he really was. A man of integrity, a father of love, a legacy of hope. And that legacy would live on, long after he was gone, in the families he had helped, in the daughter he had raised, in the foundation that bore his father's name. Because that's what integrity does. It outlasts us. It outlives us. It becomes the inheritance we leave to the world. Marcus Webb found a saddlebag on the side of the road. He gave it back, and he got everything in return.